Welcome back to Folder 404. Another sealed case has surfaced, redacted, abandoned. And yet, here it is. Whispers in code, notes that don't make sense until they do. Put on your headphones, kill the lights, and prepare to access what should have stayed buried. This is Folder 404. Let's begin. Time to open the file. The Museum of Lost Faces. It started with a flickering street lamp on a narrow back alley behind Finch Avenue, the kind of place that doesn't show up on any GPS. Logan was never the type to scare easily. An urban explorer with more than a dozen trespassing charges under his belt, he fed on the thrill of forgotten places, subway tunnels, condemned factories, rooftops that kissed the skyline. But that night, something was different. He'd noticed the gap between two cracked brick buildings, barely wide enough to squeeze through. At the end of that alley, behind a rusting service door with no handle, he found a staircase leading down. The air grew colder with every step, damp stone swallowing the sound of his boots. Clunk, clunk, clunk. Then darkness, broken only by the glow of his flashlight beam catching a brass plaque on a set of double doors. The Museum of Lost Faces. No hours, no staff, no explanation. Inside, the smell of old wax and dust pressed against him like a weighted blanket. The main gallery stretched out before him, dimly lit, silent. Rows of wax figures lined up like mourners at a funeral. They weren't historical figures. They weren't celebrities. They were ordinary. A woman in jogging clothes, her expression caught mid-worry. A teen boy slouched against a bus stop sign. An older man gripping a folded newspaper as if time had stopped with the headline. All of them incredibly lifelike. Too lifelike. He stepped closer, inspecting the face of a girl with tangled hair and a chipped tooth. Something about her expression. It was as if she had been trying to scream. Logan stumbled back, his reflection caught in the glass case behind her, and he froze. His eyes in the reflection weren't his own. A different color, darker, emptier. A trick of the light, he told himself. He didn't stay long after that, just long enough to take a few photos and mutter that he'd come back with better gear. The next night, he returned. And the night after that, and again. Each visit brought new figures, new faces. He couldn't explain it. No one else ever seemed to be there. No curators, no guards, not even power cables. Just the ever-growing collection of wax figures standing stiff in reverent silence. But he recognized one of them on the third night, a guy who'd vanished from the forums a month ago. Jamie Riot. Real name, Jamie Reyes. Logan had explored with him once. Cool guy, quick to laugh, always filming. Now he stood perfectly still, posed with a GoPro in hand, wax skin gleaming under the weak museum lights. That night, Logan didn't sleep. When he looked in the mirror, his jawline seemed sharper. His eyes, definitely not brown anymore, more like slate gray. He rubbed at his face until it turned red. But the reflection didn't change back. The fifth visit, he heard whispering, not loud, not urgent, more like static beneath the silence, voices drifting from vents or walls too thick to echo. They said nothing coherent, just breath, and syllables that almost made sense. Then he noticed the new addition at the end of the hall, a small alcove where no figure had been before. Now, it held a wax statue of a woman cradling a baby, both mid-sob. Her dress was stained at the hem. The child's eyes were swollen shut, and Logan, he knew them. He didn't know from where, only that he'd seen them once, on a lamppost flyer, missing since 2002. The obsession came quietly. He stopped uploading, stopped texting friends. His apartment went dark. Every morning, he woke feeling less like himself. Strangers stared at him on the subway as if they almost recognized him. But when he checked the mirror, it was never quite his face staring back. One night, on his final descent into the museum, Logan saw something new. A door at the back of the hall, half open. Beyond it, a room flooded in warm light, unlike the dim gallery. Inside, rows of faces, just the faces, mounted on velvet stands. Hundreds of them, some half-finished, some cracked, each tagged with a name and a date. One stood out, a wax mold of his own face, with the date marked as tomorrow. He staggered back, bile rising in his throat. A hand touched his shoulder, not cold, not wax, a woman with eyes just like the girl from the first display, and she whispered, "They always finish the vase before the soul is hollowed." Logan turned to run, but the gallery had changed. The halls twisted like a maze. Figures leaned in, just slightly, heads turned, expressions shifting. He ran, until he burst through the front doors and into daylight. No one believed him, not his old crew, not the cops. The alley, gone. Now just a brick wall. Logan's mirror never worked right after that. No matter how he turned, the reflection always smiled a second too late. And eventually, he stopped seeing a reflection at all. They say that if you wander long enough beneath Finch Avenue, you might find a narrow crack between the bricks. Some say Logan still wanders the halls of the Museum of Lost Faces, trapped behind glass, caught in the moment before he stopped being himself. Others say the museum has moved, waiting beneath another city, another name scratched into brass, another face waiting to be completed, maybe even yours. Did you like this story? Then don't stop now. The next one is already waiting. Another folder, another secret that should have stayed buried. But be careful. The deeper you go, the harder it is to come back. The Orphaned Woods. Set in northern Canada, midwinter, snow fell like ash, heavy and endless. The trees stood tall, skeletal, guardians of something older than language. Captain Mel Jameson zipped up her parka tighter, the cold biting into the crack above her scarf. The radio on her hip hissed, silent. They'd lost signal 2 hours ago. "You sure this is the last GPS ping?" she asked, voice muffled by her face covering. "Dead sure," came the reply. Ben Ito, her second in command, scanning the tree line with binoculars. He was always twitchy, but this forest brought something out in him. Paranoia settled like frost. They were a team of 4, Mel, Ben, Jackie, Medical, and Rudy, the newest member, an eager volunteer with a soft heart and a bad knee. They had been sent to locate a missing hiker, a tourist named Kelsey Harrow, who vanished 3 days ago near Mount Ascan. The locals didn't help much. Only one word seemed to stick whenever she asked around the gas stations and hunting shops. Orphaned. The Orphaned Woods. Mel hadn't asked what it meant. She should have. They found the girl on the second day. She didn't speak. Didn't run. Just stood there barefoot in the snow, hair matted like moss, skin a patchwork of bruises and dirt. She looked 7, maybe 8. "Christ," Jackie muttered. "How is she alive?" Rudy knelt beside her. "Hey there, it's okay. We're here to help." The girl blinked at him just once, then followed them back to camp like a shadow. That night, no one slept. The girl sat by the fire unmoving. She didn't eat, didn't speak, but her eyes, they moved constantly, tracking the tree line like a predator. Jackie was the first to mention the sounds. I heard something, just past the ridge, like whispering. Ben nodded slowly. Me too. He didn't sleep either. He sat up with his rifle, pointed at nothing. Sometime past 3 a.m., Rudy's scream tore through the dark. They found him hunched over his bedroll, sobbing, claw marks down his arms. I saw her, he wept, but she was taller, her mouth open too wide. She walked on her hands. The girl never moved. But she smiled. They decided to keep moving the next day, but the compass spun wildly, GPS dead. Tracks vanished the moment they looked away. Ben grew erratic. At one point, he pointed his gun at the girl and whispered, "She's not a kid. That's not a damn child." Mel restrained him, barely, but part of her agreed. That night, every animal track around their camp ended abruptly in deep drag marks, blood-streaked snow. Ben disappeared just before dawn. No noise, no footprints, just his jacket hanging from a tree 30 feet up. Inside out, Jackie broke down. "We brought her in. We brought it in. We were supposed to find someone, not bring back something else." The girl watched, always watching. Her eyes no longer moved like a child's. They darted, scanned, strategic. Mel tried to hike out with Jackie and the girl. No trails and no signal. The woods seemed to close in with each step. Jackie fell behind. Mel turned to call out, but found her body hanging from a tree, eyes wide open, mouth stitched shut with pine needles. The girl was at Mel's side, still barefoot, not a trace of snow on her. Mel didn't remember screaming, just running. She ran until her legs collapsed, until her lungs froze. When she woke, she was inside a cave, small fire crackling, and she wasn't alone. Rudy was there, or something like Rudy. His eyes were too wide now, skin gray, mouth too still. "You should have left her," he said. "She's the wood's daughter now. She was never lost." Just waiting, he looked toward the girl, and Mel finally saw it. Behind her in the shadows, shapes, dozens, maybe hundreds, silent figures made of bark and snow and sinew, watching, breathing without lungs. And the girl, she smiled again. "Found family," Rudy whispered, voice thin like smoke. "She didn't lose hers. She called them." Mel screamed, but no one heard. 3 months later, a new team went searching. They found a shredded radio and Mel's parka still zipped, hanging from a branch. And deep in the snow, tiny barefoot prints leading nowhere. The orphaned woods do not take, they adopt. How did it feel to open that folder? Were you expecting what you found, or did it send chills down your spine? Let us know in the comments. If you're still with us, don't forget to hit subscribe, because tomorrow a new folder will be waiting. And trust me, they only get darker from here. We'll see you again soon when the next file opens. Until then, keep your curiosity at bay and your screen locked.